Hi and welcome to the FinancialFox, Finance, Investment and Crypto with a Twist. I'm your host, Steffy. I'm the founder of communication consultancy Cassiopeia Services, and every week I bring to you my favorite conversation with investment experts, market disruptors, mover and shakers, and the coolest project in crypto. Today on the show, I have back Jürg Baltensperger, regulatory consultant, member of the AML Working Group and Crypto Valley Association, and managing director of JayBee, a boutique firm specialized in compliance, regulatory and risk management in the DLT and fintech field. That was quite a long introduction. It was very important because we are talking about the challenges that the governments, that regulators are facing when they are looking at crypto. So challenges in crypto, but also opportunities and what we can do to work together to make technology doing something good for our society and our economy. Before we go into the interview, remember that all the content here is for informational purposes only, so any kind of investment decision, you need to do your own research. This episode is supported by Coinpass, the fast, secure and compliant crypto trading platform for investors, traders and businesses in the UK. They have a very attractive referral program where you can earn up 20% commission, so use the link in the description to open your account and start trading today. Hi Jürg, how are you?
Hey, hello Steffi, good to be here. Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. I mean, we talk extensively about why Switzerland for a new or already established crypto businesses. Now, let's maybe dive deeper into kind of like the challenges that the government or regulator are facing when they are looking at crypto, because this is a big topic. And I mean, here in the UK, the government is trying to have a more proactive approach. In Switzerland, you are definitely much more advanced. But when you are looking at crypto, what are the challenges that you see and that the government has to kind of address?
That's a very good question. That of course we ask ourselves as well. There are different kind of aspects. First of all, what we want to avoid in Switzerland is that we are too loose regulatory wise and will attract all those who are abusing crypto for their illegal purposes, of course. So we try to protect our financial center here in Switzerland, but this is a challenge, of course, in general for all jurisdictions, that you want to avoid being abused as a hub for money laundering. As it was initially, for instance, with Silk Road, when they built this marketplace selling drugs, weapons, and so forth, and we just pay in Bitcoin. So, but there was a lot going on in this field already. The good thing with crypto is that, particularly if it is a public blockchain, that we have a lot of additional information if it comes to money laundering, that we see from which wallet to which wallet Bitcoins were removed, as an example. That helps us, since there are tools that are supporting to find out whether these kind of transactions are exposed or not. But as a general challenge, of course, whenever you move items of value or assets from one person to the other, of course, you can abuse it for money laundering.
Okay, so it's basically AML. That's kind of the big, let's say, aspect that the government is trying to control to make sure crypto is not used for illicit purposes.
Also, of course, the area of sanctions these days, of course, a very important topic with the war that we're facing. So there's a lot of changes on the sanctions list. And you need to ensure that your client is not a sanctioned person, which is not so easy in particular. And you also do not receive assets from a sanctioned person. If you imagine your client has a wallet with you, receives a Bitcoin from a wallet of a third party, how to ensure that this person is not sanctioned. But there are already some measures you can take. For instance, the travel rule protocol or the open VASP protocol here that can be implemented between different kind of virtual asset service provider, as it is called. And there are different other options how you can ensure that you do not violate the international sanctions.
Okay, let's talk about stablecoin because they represent a digital asset that now government are looking to kind of regulate, legalize, and integrate into their payment. So then it comes also the element about how we can make a payment, streamline payment, and perhaps stablecoin could be a good option as CBDCs are not so developed. So exactly, talking about stablecoin, what's your views, what you see the challenges that regulation are seeing, and the opportunity as well?
Well, the opportunity is quite big from my perspective. So stablecoins are very, very helpful. We see kind of business cases here. For instance, if you, with the Swiss National Bank, you have to pay negative interest rates. If you place money with the Swiss National Bank, you have to pay that they have your money. In that situation, of course, it would be way better to put these assets instead of to the national bank into crypto custody and just convert it into a stable coin on Swiss franc. It is not stablecoins are not risk-free. Someone issued a stablecoin as long as they're not issued by a central bank. So you still need to have kind of trust towards the issuer. But basically, stablecoins allow that you would completely move from let's call it from the classic financial ecosystem to the new world, if you want to say so. And this is the last piece of transformation. If you have stable coins, you're no longer on Swiss franc. In our example, you no longer need a Swiss franc otherwise. So you could completely change to a token-driven economy. And of course, this would change a lot. So what we would prefer to have a stable coin issued by the Swiss National Bank. We would love it. That would be a game changer from my perspective.
So we see that most of the stable come out there. I mean, the two main ones, they are pegged to the US dollars, which there are controversy, obviously, that the US dollar is imploding and, you know, how it's going to recover or if it's not going to recover. And then we have seen, obviously, there are other, there is the European Union, there is the UK, so do you see like a stable coin evolving to become a currency pegged to local currency, if that kind of makes sense, rather than having only pegged to the US dollar? Are we going to see more stable coin pegged to local currencies, such as the euro or the pound or the Swiss franc?
Absolutely. You just mentioned the two biggest stable coins that have an underlying of US dollar, the USDT and the USDC. Good to see that if you compare the biggest cryptocurrencies, that they are now amongst the top 10 cryptocurrencies worldwide. We will see that with all kind of local currencies, that they're going to be stable coins on it. Also, some of our clients are issuing stable coins. May it be on the Israeli shekel or on the Turkish lira, because it helps a lot. If you can stay in the token economy and do not constantly need to convert into fiat, back from fiat into coins, do whatever kind of service you would like to, and then convert back. First of all, you need a bank. Secondly, you're going to face some fees, and it's an annoying process. So if we can stay in the token economy, of course, this is very, very helpful. And I'm sure they will issue stable coins on all different kind of currencies, if not done yet. The challenge here is, of course, that you have to have the local currency as a backup somewhere, either as a bank guarantee or really you have this amount and it must stay there. Otherwise, you cannot issue your stable coin, or your stable coin basically has no value. And who ensures that there is a pile of Swiss franc for backing up your Swiss stable coin? This is the challenge. So you need at least to test someone.
So looking at CBDCs, if we are comparing the two, or we want to kind of look how it's going to look like the future, do you see stablecoin being overtaken by CBDCs? Do you think they are going to cooperate together? What's your take on that?
Well, the development in this area is quite different. The Swiss National Bank, for instance, said we wanna issue a stablecoin on Swiss franc, and then I said no, we don't want to do it. At the time, it doesn't look like the European Central Bank is thinking about it, but it's not there yet, and there is a lot of how to say that. There's a lot of, from my perspective, confusion on the market in which direction it goes. But of course, it would be extremely helpful if national banks would decide to issue CBDCs. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about decentralization and how regulation can go after decentralization, because it's easier if you have to trust a centralized exchange or a company. That's kind of like the easy way. What about when it comes to DeFi? And talking about that, I just wanted to mention your recent partnership. I mean, JayBee recent partnership with Genius Hill, which is decentralized project built on Cardano, and I'm interested to see what's your approach as partner and advisor to this DeFi project.
There's still a lot of
to do
action going on in the DeFi sector. It's always difficult to predict the future. Some say that in the future also DeFi sector will be fully regulated, and of course it will not be half as fancy as it is today. Some say DeFi will further develop and will try to stay away from regulation as much as possible. Some say it will be something in between. The Financial Action Task Force, as a sub-organization of the OECD, already said twice towards the DeFi sector, guys, we want to regulate you. And there are different kind of initiatives already launched, or maybe more like visions created, that we say we want to also allow the DeFi sector at least to do identification of their participants in the easiest possible way, so that they do not face burdensome regulatory costs, of course, that would not go along with their business model. And but of course the community is not really supporting on this, because they say if it is DeFi, it's DeFi. Like
exactly, that's what the point.
Who do you want to regulate? Even if you say it's regulated, it doesn't change anything. But most of the DeFi protocols actually have a centralized point. Someone who's updating the protocol, someone who's doing marketing for the protocol, and someone who's earning money. And the FATF said those guys might be regulated in the future. So I personally think, coming from the regulatory side, I personally think we should work together and find best solution, because we all will profit if we can keep money launderers and criminals away from our beautiful token economy, that otherwise will force regulators to be even more strict than needed. So I think it's a cooperation approach would be best in this regard.
Where the metaverse fits in, because the virtual world that is creating an economy, is creating a lot behind tokens, behind decentralized ecosystem. Do you see the metaverse as a way to regulate crypto, decentralized crypto, like a framework that perhaps regulation can use to regulate what they can't regulate directly?
Maybe there will be authorities in the metaverse as well. We talk about why don't we build a regulator in the metaverse, and then we can. If I'm not mistaken, there are actually people in the metaverse that are on level close to be a regulator and supervise others, if I got it correctly, how this system works. This would be, of course, one option. We would call it self-regulation in Switzerland, that you regulate yourself, because of course you have an interest as a metaverse as Metaverse as such, you don't want to attract people who abuse your beautiful platform for criminal activities, because otherwise one day it will be shut down. So this is maybe one option, is maybe self-regulation, that we say, hey, we're in the DeFi sector. We want to create our own rules that we have to follow. The good thing with blockchain is you might be able to track it automatically. That makes regulation way more efficient. Otherwise it's just more about, we're in a kind of brainstorming phase. What are we doing with it? Also, regulators here, my impression is that they're more like, they know it's there, they know we want to do something, they know the rules, but it doesn't fit to that ecosystem. So it's still a little bit like, who is moving first, who will say something, who will position themselves. So we're a little bit in a brainstorming phase, which is very interesting, because there's a lot of room for creativity.
I agree, but I like from our conversation is that you look very positive, and your main concern is that regulation doesn't want to have these criminals to destroy the beautiful token economy and the opportunity that crypto can bring to us for the good. And I think that's a very nice feeling. Very nice vibe that I'm getting from you, rather than, doubts or concern or being scared about regulating something. It's actually, we are really open to talk, but we don't want criminals to kind of destroy the beauty of this new technology.
Well, I said initially, I'm a risk manager as well. And I see it from a risk perspective. So regulation is responsible for the long-term sustainable development. Of course, regulation on a short-term view hinders you to go crazy and expand in the speed you want. On the long term, it will help you to develop sustainably. And therefore, we see a lot of projects here in Switzerland who say, okay, we know now everyone was on NFTs and it goes crazy. Now everyone is on Metaverse and goes crazy there, and then they do something else, but it's not very sustainable. So the players here say, let's build up a regulated approach that then has a chance to exist on a long-term basis. And in the future, when crypto is very established, this is what my personal opinion, this is what I think for the future, that it's going to be not even half as excited as it is today, because it will be super established and regulated, so that we can then play a bigger role in the future, and don't go for the fast money, but for the constant development. So from my perspective, regulation is not the regulator is not an enemy, it's also an important player. We should all work in the same direction to help develop this ecosystem. And you shouldn't regulate too much, but you shouldn't regulate too less, so that we can continue our path together. This is my approach, how I see it.
Wow, I love it. Listen, Jürg, anybody that is interested in getting in touch with you, or maybe partner with your company to kind of find out a bit more how they can follow the rules and do everything in the right legal way, where they should go?
Yes, you can approach us. Of course, we really appreciate all these different kind of projects. We're servicing today about 40 companies in the crypto field here in Zug, as well as 5 companies that are going for a fintech license. 2 already have one, 3 are in the process. Also build up the compliance department of Signum, set up an education at University of Applied Science in Zurich here. So we're really in the middle of the crypto valley, supporting this development as a player from regulatory compliance and the risk side. Please feel free to approach us, and we're very happy to discuss your vision, your entrepreneurial project, and how we can support you best, so that you can enjoy on a long-term basis.
Thank you, Jürg. It was great to have you on the show again.
Sophie. It was a pleasure.
Important, if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, Make sure that you click the subscribe button now and follow us on social media to stay up to date with our news and interviews. And also, if you have any comment or any feedback, please add it in the comment section on our YouTube channel. And any specific request or any other comment, send me a DM on Twitter and I will get back to you. I will see you next time.